It was one of those nights I'll never forget. I was hauling freight across the old stretch of Route 66, miles of empty asphalt cutting through the desert, under a sky so black it swallowed the headlights whole. The clock on my dash blinked 2:13 a.m., and the radio crackled with static and distant oldies, remnants of a world that still believed in soul and song. Rain began to fall, first just a drizzle, then hard enough to blur the yellow line into a ghostly ribbon carving through the darkness. And that's when I saw her. At first she was just a silhouette, standing at the edge of the road, soaked to the bone, thumbs stuck out like a relic from another era. A woman, pale dress clinging to her form, long dark hair plastered to her face, eyes wide and trembling. She looked desperate, lost. I slowed the truck and stopped. It felt wrong, like I was interrupting something I didn't fully understand, but something in her eyes begged me to stop. "Need a lift?" I asked, my voice swallowed by the thunder. She didn't say much, just climbed into the passenger seat, shivering, her wet fingers brushing my arm. "Just up ahead, please," she whispered, a voice like wind through dry tombstones. The cab instantly grew cold. My breath puffed in front of me like I was driving through winter, not a rainstorm. Every instinct screamed to drive on, to leave her there on that cursed highway. But I didn't. We drove in silence, nothing but the sound of rain and the slow creak of the truck tires grinding pavement. I dared a glance toward her face, eyes fixed straight ahead, expression hollow and ancient. Her dress looked wrong, like something from a photo I'd see in an old family album, faded yet impossibly real. Then she spoke again. "That's where it happened," she said, pointing toward a bend in the road where the rain blurred the outline of a broken guardrail. My heart twisted. I'd driven that road more times than I could count, and I'd always felt a chill there, but never like this. I blinked once, and then she was gone. No farewell, no sound, just gone. I slammed the brakes. The seat beside me was soaked, the rain still dripping from where she'd been. But when I reached over, nothing. No coat, no purse, no sign that she had ever existed at all. I kept driving, but the image of her haunted me, not like a memory, but like an unanswered question etched into the road itself. Later, at a diner just off the highway, I half-jokingly asked the waitress about ghosts on Route 66. She looked at me, serious, unblinking, and said quietly, "That woman, she died right on that road, decades ago. Folks still see her when it rains. They say she's still trying to go home." And from the look in her eyes, I knew she wasn't telling me a joke. I wasn't supposed to be on Route 66 that night. My GPS had glitched outside of Barstow, rerouting me onto the old highway. Miles of cracked pavement stretched ahead, flanked by dead gas stations and rusted motel signs flickering like dying stars. The desert wind rocked my car, whispering against the windows like something trying to get in. I told myself it was just another wrong turn. Then I saw him. A man stood near the shoulder beneath a broken Route 66 sign, hat pulled low over his face, one hand raised in a tired hitchhiker's wave. He wore a long coat despite the desert heat. Something about the way he stood, too still, too patient, made my stomach tighten. I slowed down. I don't know why. Maybe it was loneliness. Maybe it was guilt for leaving home without saying goodbye to my mother. Either way, I pulled over. The moment he opened the door, the air inside my car dropped cold, like I'd driven into winter. He smelled faintly of rain and old paper. "Thanks," he said quietly. Then he looked at me and smiled. "Brian," my heart skipped. I hadn't told him my name. I asked how he knew it, but he only stared ahead, eyes reflecting the highway lights. His face was pale, lips cracked, as if he hadn't spoken to anyone in a long time. We drove in silence until he finally pointed ahead. "Pull over by the next bend." My hands trembled as I slowed down. The road curved toward a small wooden cross planted in the dirt, barely visible through the dust. The kind of roadside memorial people leave when someone dies. He opened the door, paused, and said, "You were supposed to stop that night, but you didn't." Then he stepped out. When I leaned over to speak to him again, there was no one there. Later, I learned a man had died on that exact bend 10 years earlier, waiting for help that never came. And every time I drive past that spot now, my radio turns on by itself, playing a song I used to listen to the night he died. The rain hit hard and sudden, the kind of desert storm that feels unnatural, like the sky finally cracking open after holding its breath too long. I was halfway through a late-night drive along Route 66, fighting exhaustion, when my headlights caught movement near the edge of the road. A girl. She was young, maybe 16 or 17, barefoot, standing in the rain with her arms wrapped around herself. Her hoodie was too thin for the cold, soaked through, clinging to her shoulders. She looked like someone who had been crying for hours. I pulled over before I could talk myself out of it. She climbed into the car without a word. The rainwater dripped from her hair onto the floor mat. She kept her head down, breathing shallow, like she was afraid even the air might hurt her. "Where are you headed?" I asked gently. "Home," she whispered. The word carried weight. Not an address, not a city, just home. As we drove, the radio cut out. The dashboard lights flickered. The windows fogged so badly, I had to wipe them with my sleeve. The air grew heavy, thick with sadness. She finally looked up at me. Her eyes were wrong, not empty, just unbearably tired, like someone who had been running for years without ever getting anywhere. "I didn't mean to get in the car with him," she said suddenly. My chest tightened. "With who?" "The man who said he'd take me home." The road ahead shimmered with rain, and for a moment, I thought I saw headlights behind us that vanished when I blinked. She pressed something into my hand, a small silver necklace, shaped like a heart. "Don't let him find me," she whispered. Then the car lurched. I swerved, heart pounding, barely missing a broken guardrail. While I looked back at the passenger seat, she was gone. The necklace was still in my hand. The next morning, I stopped at a small roadside museum about Route 66. On the wall was an old newspaper clipping about a teenage girl who disappeared after accepting a ride from a stranger in the 1980s. She'd been last seen on that stretch of road. Same hoodie, same necklace. I left the necklace at the base of the memorial cross where she vanished. That night, I dreamed of rain tapping on my window and a soft voice whispering, "Thank you for bringing me closer to home."